people next in line, lower class and social slime, they don't matter, genocide, sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care, Caesar shit, force them air, fuck them back, it's only for they bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids, no one lives countries, lie to your face, fight, and die, cause God will give. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line, lower class and social side, they don't matter, genocide, sick from water, sick from air, making money, they don't care, see their shit, force a bear, fuck them back, that's only fair, they bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids, no one leaves countries, lie to your face, fight, and die, cause God forgives, yeah. Coming back around again.
Okay, welcome to the show. This is Game On. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is the best little network on the internet known as UCY.TV, and it needs to be spread far and wide. So, today's September the 15th. We're halfway through the month. The weather is absolutely gorgeous today. Some of the summer weather we didn't get. But you know, the farther we go into this, the more bizarre it gets, the faster it gets. I mean, it's it's gone past ludicrous now, and which is okay with me, because sooner or later, those that are still on the fence going, should we wake up yet? Yeah, it's time, people. It really is time. Because if you don't, you're screwed. Not only you're screwed, your family's screwed. Your children are screwed, your grandchildren are screwed, and if you have some, your great-grandchildren are screwed. Your great-grandchildren will be screwed much more than your own children or your grandchildren. So we got to kind of plan far out the way these guys that are, wrecking our lives plan out. They plan out long term. And we need to do the same. So today, I had to construct a letter out to my financial institution, and we got that done. I asked them to call me right back. I haven't had any response yet. So I called them, and still haven't any response yet. So I will, after the show, write them a little bit more and send that off in the morning as I promised, and see if we can get this straightened out. And I think the big problem is that a lot of these low-level people, and I'm even talking management of banks, don't really know the history of what they're involved in. And so, it's all another case of talking, teaching, and shining the light on it. And so after I got that done, I called up the Ministry of Finance, which is in charge of the credit unions here in Ontario. It's one of these deals again. You see, the Minister of Finance, while the credit unions, banks are federal here, credit unions and trusts are provincial. While the trusts and the credit unions are under the umbrella of the Ministry of Finance, what they do is they create these other entities so that the ministry can say they're really not responsible, even though they are. So like I said in a different show, there are some 500 organizations, be it the agencies or boards or some other thing that they set up to remove the responsibility from those that are supposed to be responsible, which doesn't really spell responsible government. What they're doing is they're deflecting the eyes away from who really is supposed to be in charge. So it's a real maze out there. Anyways, so I had some fun with that, but I called the at the minister's office. I called because they have a long list of different parts of it, and so I called the legal branch and pulled up just this huge number of phone numbers with names attached to them. Most of them were called counsel, which would be, I'm thinking, a lawyer. So because they're in charge of my financial institution, I thought I would ask them some questions about property and disclosure and the fact that property is a fiction. In fact, what property is, the legal terminology for it is that it is a legal concept. A legal concept. It's an abstract concept. So it ain't real. So what we've got the bankers with the okay of the government, with the okay of the one who owns the land, and here in Canada, all land, and I mean all land, is owned by the Crown. But then the Crown's a fiction. So, when you go look at a house and that, the realtor doesn't tell you that you're looking to take a mortgage out on an abstract concept that really in actuality doesn't even exist. It's just an abstract concept. Most people, when they go with a realtor to look at a piece of property, they see the house and the land, and they see a big price tag on it, and they go, well, can we afford it? Well, I don't know. They got low mortgage rates right now, so let's go see. So the realtor doesn't tell you, doesn't disclose squat to you. And then you go to the bank, and the bank doesn't disclose anything to you. And then you got to go get some paperwork done by the lawyer, and he doesn't disclose anything to you. So now you got your mortgage, and you think, oh, well, this is our place. Well, not really. Nope. What you got yourself is an abstract concept. And everybody's making money off of this abstract concept except you. You're paying everybody for the right to pay for this abstract concept. And people say, well, it's the biggest investment most Canadians ever make, or Americans, or wherever you are. Well, probably true. And, I've heard lots of people in the past say, like I bought the house for, I'm just going to use some lowball round numbers. It's easier, $100,000, and paid my mortgage off in 25 years, and now my place is worth $200,000. So a little quick math, and they say, well, that wasn't bad. I made $100,000. Well, that's not quite right either. Because when I was building houses and people would want to put some, when I was building, they were just coming out with those ground source heat pumps, which are damned expensive. I don't think they probably still are. But and people say, well, I'll save money. You will. How's that? So you're going to lay out 20 grand up front. So, the equipment lasts 15, 20 years. So you're in for at least $1,000 a year. You have to add that into your cost. This idea that this thing you bought didn't cost you and doesn't work. Same thing as with you made this profit on this house. Well, you can make a profit on a house, I suppose, if you roll it over. But if you're one of those people that's staying for 20, 25 years, once you take out all your expenses, and that is the 20, 25 years worth of mortgage payments and your taxes, your upkeep, all that kind of stuff, because there is a lot of upkeep in a home over that period of time. And then you take inflation into account. Chances are you may have broke even. So where did the profit go? Well, to the lawyers and the municipality or your city or town for taxes, and a bank. So they're all feeding off you as you bust your ass to pay the cost of carrying an abstract concept. Freaking ridiculous. So, when I called the ministry today and I got into the lawyers there and I was talking to somebody, Christine, I think her name was, and she seemed like a nice lady, but then she started to get a little tad nervous. Being a lawyer and all, I can see her point. And so she wanted to shoot me over to a place she thought would be better able to answer my questions. Well, my questions all are law questions, or legal questions, which of course is not law, but legal questions. And I'm in the legal department, but she felt that somebody over in general inquiry might be able to help me better. This is the same thing I got when I got into the Chief Justice's office, who I couldn't get into. This is some time ago. Who I couldn't get into. There's too many gatekeepers. So after a conversation, which really rattled the cage with the guy at the Law Society of Upper Canada, when it seemed like his light bulb went off when he said, "Holy crap, you know what this means?" I go, "Yeah, I do, actually. That's why I'm doing it." And now you know. And obviously didn't know before, but then you're in the legal business, so why would you know? And so when he sent me he actually gave me a backdoor number straight into the Chief Justice's department, and to get some questions answered there about these boys and girls on the bench, and it's amazing. They did the same thing. Well, you need to. We'll put you through the general inquiry to be able to help you better. I mean, how ludicrous is this? I mean, are lawyers just generally stupid? I'm starting to think so. So anyway, she sends me to this place, and finally she sends me to this place called Collections or something. And I said, why would I be going to Collections? I'm not trying to collect on it. I'm trying to get some straight answers. And so she fires me over there. Of course, I don't talk to anybody over there. I get hung up. It's kind of a dead spot. So back I go, phone the same number I was talking to Christine on, and got a guy named Duke. And started talking to him, and he said, "Well, you probably need to talk to one of the lawyers or that." And I said, "That's a good idea. That's the whole plan. Go get me one." So anyway, and come back after a while, and he goes, "Well, the guy that kind of looks after that sort of stuff, he not here right now." Well, let's see. You got a hell of a string of phone numbers with lawyers attached to it. I just want to ask some legal questions. Well, they all kind of specialize in different areas. Well, it's pretty simple. It's really, we're just talking contract law, nothing serious. And about disclosure and that. And, well, maybe I could find you somebody. So first there was nobody there, and then they are there. And I said, well, that's good. Go get one. Right? Okay? You don't have to be fussy about it. Just turn around and holler. Anybody know about contract law in here amongst you lawyers that work for the ministry who's in charge of contracts? And get one of them on the phone. Well, that didn't happen. So he asked me to write a letter. So don't write letters to you guys because you don't get a response. If you do get a response, it's not even close to the question. So it's a non-response. So it's a waste of time. I ain't going there. So we finally settled on giving them the phone number, and supposed to have one of these Ministry of Finance lawyers get back to me within one business day. That would be tomorrow. So on Thursday, hopefully I have an interesting story about my conversation with the lawyer from the Ministry of Finance. I mean, I wish everybody would call these people, because not just that ministry, all ministries. I don't care what country you live in. Get on the damn horn. Because once you get on the horn and talk to these people for a while, you go, oh my, are we in trouble? Okay? You're talking to the brain dead. It's really sad. It is really sad. So anyways, I went through all this stuff and found out that what we purchase when we purchase a mortgage is an abstract concept. So I kind of went over, and this just spells the fraud out, like in no uncertain terms. Now, I have some books and that I got into last night, which also give a very good definition of who owns the land, which is a crown, and how this thing is pretty much set up. But, I like to use etymology as a search engine. It's pretty good for words. If I can find it where I was here. Yeah, so etymology. So it is a concept, right? An abstract concept. Well, what is a concept? Concept, according to this, is a draft, an abstract. Okay, well, they call it an abstract concept. Property is an abstract concept. So here we have concept with a draft and the word abstract in it. A thing conceived from past participle stem of CONCIPERE, which could be conspire, whatever, to take in. And then it says conceive. In some cases, a refashioning of the word conceit, perhaps to avoid negative connotations. Okay, so we look up that, and is that the word I'm looking for? Just bear with me a second here. No, the word I'm looking for is conceit. Which is right in the definition of concept. And it says something formed in the mind, a thought, a notion, like a bunch of bankers and lawyers and kings and queens sitting around trying to figure out how they're going to screw the commoners over. Based on analogy of deceit and receipt. Okay? And deceit is deception. Okay? But from their deceit, they get what? A receipt. Okay? So out of your pocket, into their pocket, for something that doesn't even exist. And that should really tick a few people off. Now, if we go to deceit, the definition of deceit, receipt. Now, I come across this Dehane's Law Dictionary looking up concept. And this will come up. Willful or reckless misrepresentation or concealment of material facts with an intent to mislead. Sounds about right. So that's what we're involved in, right? Like everybody didn't already know. But this really lays it out right straight in your face. that this whole real estate business is a deception, which it is. You see, back in the old days, the king or the queen or whoever, our forefathers had this when they came over here. They were given land grants. Okay? Now, people thought with these land patents and that they had allodial title. No chance. These land grants were basically a type of fee simple or whatever. And so they were giving right to the property, right to the use of the land, but not ownership of the land. Okay? But in the beginning, when they were trying to get people over here who were in the feudal system, who didn't have the right of land or the right of property, were coerced into coming over here because the crown, king, because the crown's a fiction too, so the king or whoever needed, while they came over here and made the claim on the land and called it waste, they couldn't. It's a dead claim. It's an empty claim because they don't possess it. So they needed people to come over and possess it. So they granted them land, which they didn't have before. So they came over here, and well, the rest is history. Then they figured out how, instead of granting us land, and they shouldn't even have to grant us land because God created it and gave us dominion over it. So who are you to grant us anything? But then once they figured this out and turned this into a fee simple, that we could take a mortgage against the property. Now, people thought they were taking a mortgage against the land. Then they were buying land. Nothing could be far from the truth. Nobody has ever owned any land on this land except for the crown. So who always benefits? Well, the crown's friends, the bankers, the lawyers. And in this case nowadays, real estate agents, because real estate agents are pushing the agenda, which is Agenda 21, which eventually is going to make it so nobody owns even a property. You won't even own a abstract concept, okay? Because that abstract concept you can still buy and sell, and you can profit from it. And then that, of course, you profiting and someone else not, well, that's social injustice, and we can't have any of that. So we really need to get a grip on reality here and get away from these abstract concepts, which is what legal is. It's just a bunch of criminals stewing up ways to fleece us. And fleece the sheep, eh? Trying to go out and shear some sheep. Well, why don't we make a new law, a new legal law, a new regulation, and we'll pass it through the legislature, and it'll go up through, and then the Queen can sign off on it, and we can come up with really something dense like distracted driving, and then we'll put a really big fee on it, and then we can fleece the sheep some more. This is great. It's a wonder the sheep aren't cold all the time. They've been fleeced so tightly. It's ridiculous. So anyways, we're going to play this out for a while and see how this works out with the financial institution and the government. And I think it'll be okay. I like this. I don't know if you ever used the HAME or not, but there's a lot of law and stuff in it, a lot of different sections of it. And see, we all have rights. And this is a lawism, a Duhame lawism. It says, a drunken man is as much entitled to a safe street as a sober one, and much more in need of it. And this is from Robertson versus Peel from 1855. If you're not aware of Duhame, I'm going to stuff this into the chat because this is a pretty good little search situation here. A lot of legal stuff in here that should make a lot of sense to a lot of people. It's a handy little thing. It's like etymology. A lot of good stuff in it. And but that was kind of... Oh, here's some good news. when I was done with the my calls to the government there today, I got thinking about it, and I sent out a note to a few people, and what it basically was that, if I can see what I put in here. Yeah, this is just what I put in to some folks I knew on Skype and Facebook and that. And it says, I was talking to the government today about mortgage fraud, and they were run like little scared bunny rabbits, which got me to thinking. Everyone must be given a jury trial for all matters before the court, because all judges are employees of the Queen Crown Corporation or the state, meaning they cannot be impartial and must excuse themselves from the bench as they are in conflict of interest, which they are. The employees of the Crown job is to protect the Crown. And the judges are all employees of the Crown, so they have a vested interest in protecting the Crown, and that puts them into a position of conflict of interest. Now, we've been having a real hard time getting jury trials here because they don't want you to have a jury trial, because that's the jury of your peers. And the worst part about a jury trial, as far as the state, Crown, whatever is concerned, is that the jury also has the right to strike down law. And that's one of the main reasons jury trials disappeared, because the jury of your peers can sit there and go, say, what? Who the hell made a stupid law like this? That's out of here. You see? So the court system's there to protect the state. Nobody there represents the people. Nobody in the state represents the people. So we got to get back to the people. We got to get rid of this fictional nonsense. So anyways, I sent that out to Michael Schmidt. And if you're not aware of who Michael Schmidt is, Michael Schmidt is the raw milk farmer here in Ontario that has been dragged through hell and back. He's been SWAT teamed, had his equipment all busted out, been dragged in and out of court. And, I met Michael, I don't know, it's got to be 6-7 years ago now. And we hit it off pretty good. And my concern was him, was he doing what he was doing from a moral standpoint? And he said it was, and it is. And that's the point we all have to come from, because moral will always trump amoral, which is legal. Okay, so we stand in law, which is moral, and they stand in legal, which is amoral. They don't stand a chance. Okay, once people finally get all of this stuff. So anyways, I told him about the jury stuff and that, and he was quite happy about that. And then he wrote me back that they have a trial coming up now for sheep kidnapping. Now, I don't think Michael was charged with the actual sheep kidnapping, but I believe he was charged with conspiracy to kidnap sheep or something. And if you know where the story goes like this very quickly, a lady in this neck of the woods is growing heritage sheep. I think there's some Scottish breed or something. And she'd shipped the sheep out to Alberta, and was told that it had scabies or something. And that kind of threw her, because none of her sheep have ever had any kind of disease. And so they didn't provide her with the body or anything that I'm aware of. They just said this is what they had, and the ministry came in and told her she had to put all her sheep down. Now, she'd had them quarantined for a considerable amount of time. There was no evidence, and there was no symptoms of any disease. I don't know, scabies or scrabbies or whatever it's called anyway, some disease that they can only 100% be sure whether or not the animal has it. They have to put the animal down and cut open its brain and do a test or something. So instead of taking one sheep and putting it down and testing it, they came in and arbitrarily said, with really no evidence, that she had to put down all of her heritage sheep. And this is a nice lady, and it really busted her up bad. So I'm not sure who kidnapped the sheep, but some folks heard about her troubles and decided, well, we'll just move the sheep out of here. So they did, and that turned into a great big controversy. And so this happened, I think, about 3 years ago, maybe. So it's been dragging out. So they got to go back to court again. So I was telling Michael about why we should be able to discharge the judges and demand jury trials. And he liked that. And then he wrote me back and he said, this is odd that you brought this up, because we actually managed to get a jury trial for the sheep caper. And I said, well, then you should have no problem winning it. It's the same as the raw milk. If they put a jury of his peers in there, the people would say, what exactly is wrong with this raw milk again? Here's, there it is there. Yeah, thank you very much, whoever put that into the chat. So, Michael has been fighting this a long, long time. And, I was at his trial in Newmarket, Ontario, 207 maybe, whenever, 210, I don't remember. But we went there, and the judge there actually acquitted Michael on a gutload of charges. I think it was 30-some charges or something. And, and he came out of the courtroom. There was a lot of support there, and lots of raw milk right in the courthouse. It was all brought in for a celebration or not. We're still going to have the milk when Michael came out of the court. And so he came out with a kind of a sly smile on his face and a yee-haw. And all of a sudden, what they've been bastardizing this man for so many years, all the raw milk was broke out into wine glasses in the courthouse, and it had a bit of a celebration. The problem was, and I knew it right away, and Michael knew it right away, was that this wasn't the end of it. We went to the party across the street afterwards. People were just so excited, and we can't have that, can we? What I found in the courthouse was kind of strange, because there was a whole bunch of farmers there, about Michael's age, and I heard them talking, and I do have some film of that. It was, I don't know where to put it, but I do have some film of it, and they're going, wow, look what he's doing. And I thought that was rather pathetic, because I asked these guys, why are you looking up to Michael? Well, we couldn't do that. Why? Why can't you do that? Michael is no different than you. He's got 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head. So what is different about him than it is about you? Well, we couldn't do that. So what are you, weak? So what bothers me is that these people come and watch people like Michael go through hell, and it's the kind of, we're behind him if he wins, and if he doesn't win, well, we'll hang our heads like beaten slaves again, and just go back about our business and go, well, he tried, but you can't fight them. Kind of frickin' attitude has made me nuts my entire life. Don't be behind somebody. Get up beside them. Or get out in front of them is even better. But when we went over to the party afterwards, people were congratulating and all that stuff. And when Michael came in, I shook his hand and I just said, Michael, these people think you won. He goes, I know. I said, the fight's just getting started. He says, I know. And then they appealed it right away. But what was interesting about what the judge said, and it should have quashed any appeal, but the government's a little on the vicious side. So they have to protect their friends. What happened in that trial was that the judge said that people, men and women, have a right to enter into private agreements without the interference of government. And he's absolutely correct. So that, if I decide I wish to drink raw milk, and I believe that you have the capacity to do for me what I want, and I have faith in your ability to provide me with what I want, then we have every right to enter into a private agreement outside the prying eyes of the government. In other words, we have the right to take responsibility for our decisions. The government couldn't have that either, so they appealed it right away. So last trip he went, they was in front of 3 judges at a tribunal at Osgoode Hall, which they found him guilty and whacked a bunch more fines on his ass. But he still, to this day, in all of these years, has not paid 1 nickel in fines. He refuses to do so. So that was good news, and that they're getting a jury trial for the sheep. And people think rural Ontario or rural land, the people out in the rural areas lead a bored life compared to those in the city. Trust me, the rural areas very strange, very locked down, and getting crazier by the day. So you really got to be half dead not to if somebody says, "Oh, I'm bored," So, anyways, swatted a milk house and a cheese making situation, and the police high-powered rifles, hazmat suits. I mean, it's freaking ludicrous. They put on hazmat suits because they're afraid of cow's milk. Our brave men, our brave boys in blue, right? Oh my God, it's milk! Ah! Get the hazmat suits. I mean, this is absolutely gone cartoonish. So that was kind of how my day went. Oh, a lady that got run out of her house from London, Ontario, Bonnie, called me today, and she's moved out to Nova Scotia now. They've been on her hard. She's a woman that doesn't lay down, and they kind of scared her last time they got a hold of her because she said the police took her for a long ride out in the country, and that kind of made her somewhat nervous. They weren't going anywhere. They just threw her in the car and took her out in the country, and she's a scrapper and knows right from wrong, and I think they just tried to put the fear in her, so she got the hell out of Ontario, and it's good she got out of Ontario. She's gone to Nova Scotia, and she said it's beautiful out there, and she's supposed to send me some pictures. She did say she tried to come back to Ontario, and they wouldn't let her on the plane. Seems they don't want her in Ontario. So I just, I said, it's okay. You need a rest anyways. You've been hard at this. You've been beat up and ripped from your home and traumatized like how many times by these clowns that call themselves the government. And so, she's going to go out and rest and enjoy the scenery out there and regroup. But we got to support each other, and we have to make it in no uncertain terms that we're taking these lands back. No fictional crown, no Queenie, no corporation, no so-called government has any right to make us subservient to fictional entities. I mean, come on. We're supposed to be all grown up now, you know. Boogeymen and fictional entities are all right for children, but we're supposed to be grown men and women, and it's time we started acting like it. Anyways, that was my day, basically, as it goes. So I just want to read a story here. Here's a quick one for you. It doesn't matter where you are because we're getting slammed by immigrants and they're causing chaos everywhere in order to drive people from their countries so that they have to come to our countries en masse in order to further undermine our societies. And the immigrants or the migrants are not the bad people, right? I mean, you consider what would happen, somebody comes and bombs the snot out of your country, and you got to go. And so I really don't believe these are bad people. I don't believe they want to leave their countries. They're being forced to in order to further the agenda of the nutcases that are running this show. And but we got to put our foot down anyways because we have to protect our own nations until we get them back because they've been stolen. Anyway, so there's a story in the Toronto Star just quickly. Niqab, okay, at Citizen Ceremonies Federal Court. Panel sees no reason to interfere with earlier decisions to overturn Ottawa's apparent ban, which sparked a bitter debate in the House of Commons when it was announced. Now, this is a story about a Muslim woman who wasn't, let me see. Oh, yeah, just freeze up on me. Oh, yeah, this is good. Oh, you dog. Don't you just love computers? I mean, this is just dragged right down. I don't know what the deal is with this. Can't even get to the story. Anyways, I'm stuck here now, so I can't go anywhere. But anyways, part of this story I can see. A federal judge, Federal Court of Appeal panel has dismissed a government appeal over a ban on face coverings at citizenship ceremonies. The three justices ruled from the bench saying they wanted to proceed quickly so that Zunra Ishkak can obtain her citizenship in time to vote in the October 19th federal election. Well, we wouldn't want her to miss out on that, would we? She's a 29-year-old woman with devout Muslim beliefs who came to Ontario from Pakistan in 2008. And now I got to go back here again because my computer is bouncing around. Let's see. And refused to take part in a citizenship ceremony because... Now what have I got going on here? Anyways, I got something running in the background here. It's a video, I guess. Let me get this shut off. That's our Prime Minister yammering away about this. She refused to take part in the citizenship ceremony because she would have to show her face. The Harper government's rule banning face coverings at such ceremonies was earlier found unlawful by the federal court. Justice Department lawyer Peter Southery argued unsuccessfully that the lower court justice made errors in his original decision to overturn the ban, but appeal Justice Mary Gleason said the court saw no reason to interfere with the earlier ruling. I can't talk. But then I've been doing it all day. The ban on face coverings sparked a bitter debate in the House of Commons when it was first announced. Now, I have a post on my blog that is from, I believe, 1907. and it is Wilfrid Laurier's Ideas on Immigration. Now, I've been getting an inordinate number of hits on this thing. This is not what I even care people look at. I just stuck it up there a long time ago. And as of late, with all this migrant talk and that, this Wilfrid Laurier idea on immigration, even though he's a treasonous dog, or was a treasonous dog, because he was the liberal guy when I was talking about the Vatican lands, and so he's not he wasn't a good guy, but apparently this is what he said. If that will come up. Man, this is slow tonight. So anyways, this is what it says here. Immigration on being Canadian 1907. In the first place, we should insist that if immigrants who come here in good faith become a Canadian and assimilate himself to us, he shall be treated on the exact equality with everyone else, for it is an outrage to discriminate against any such man because of creed, birthplace, origin. But this is predicated upon the person becoming in every facet a Canadian and nothing but a Canadian. There can be no divided allegiances here. Any man who says he's a Canadian something else also isn't a Canadian at all. We have room for but one flag, the Canadian flag, and we have room for but one sole loyalty, and that is a loyalty to the Canadian people. Now, well, that's kind of a screwed up thing when you think about it. Well, the first time I read it, I was pretty good, but now I just look at it as a mess. There's so many problems with what was said there; it's ridiculous. But the point of the fact is, the overall gist of the idea is that when you come here, you have to assimilate, period. Otherwise, chaos is going to ensue. Why are we bending over? You come to this country and you're from wherever, and you say, well, we need to, if you're going to immigrate in here, then people don't wander around with their faces covered up. Well, that's my religious, and this is all out of the UN, right? Okay, all this religious crap, tolerance and that is out of the United Nations. If you go look at their documents, you see exactly what's going on here, why these Muslims are rolling everywhere. So, we have that kind of a problem, and they make laws to force you, who were here first, to assimilate to those who came after. That's dead wrong. Now, there's a very scary thing, and maybe it's in the American Constitution as well, but I don't know where I put that. Let's see if we can just find it quick here. Oh, never mind, can't do that. My computer's all locking up. Okay, I don't have a computer. So let's talk about some of these immigrants. Now, or migrants, well, it'd be immigrants, I guess, or migrating here. Is that math is kind of an easy subject, really. If you learn how to read, write, and do your arithmetic, you should be okay. Most of that's not being taught to anybody. But the Premier of Ontario wants to spend $10 million to help bring 10,000 migrants to Ontario. Well, how are you going to swing that? You bring 10,000 migrants to Ontario and you've got $10 million in order to help them out. That works out to $1,000 a head. Now, if you live here, you know how far $1,000 goes, not far. So this idea of even the newspapers putting this up and not saying, whoa, up here a minute there, Premier. You're going to bring 10,000 migrants here with $10 million bucks. That's $1,000 a head. That don't swing. Where are you getting the rest of the money? Because it's going to cost a hell of a lot more than $1,000. Okay, you might fly them here for $1,000. Then what? Well, we'll put them on the social welfare rolls, of which who's paying for? The poor slobs in this country working 2 and 3 part-time jobs to try to keep a roof over their head. That's liberal, provincial. Now over on the federal side, and this is the same thing. I mean, I look a little bit at American politics. It just blows your mind, the stupidity that's going on there, but it's no different than stupidity that's going on here or anywhere else. And the papers keep punching this crap out, you know. The Conservative Party, who's in power here, sliding in the polls, and they can't win because it's already been decided the NDP are going to win, and that's that. And I will put some money on that, I suppose, if I had any. All you got to do is understand their playbooks, and you get it. This isn't about these guys jockeying behind. I mean, it's the same as, you know, the guys go to the Bilderberg conference, and then they decide who's going to be what. In order to push the overall agenda forward, they couldn't be pushed by a party here or a party there. It's the same with Al Gore and Bush. Why did Al Gore lose the election? Simple. He's a Democrat. It's much harder for the Democrats to go in because they're the left-wingers, the limp-wristed ones. It's very difficult for those people to really go and blow up Iraq, say. Difficult. So we need the right-wingers, the conservatives, do that because they're the boys, they're the men, they're beer drinkers. They're tough guys. So, you know, what are we going to do with this limp-wristed guy from the Democrats? Well, why don't we make him some kind of climate guy, and then he can get rich off of that. So he's still helping our agenda. Okay. So this is what goes on. But anyways, our prime minister here, all of a sudden out of the blue, and it's on the main papers, on the front frickin' pages, for crying out loud, you know, Conservative Party shows a 1.5, 1 point something, what do you call it? Anyways, they got 1 point something billion dollars more left over in the budget. So I have a budget surplus of 1 point some odd billion dollars. Well, you're running a country. 1 point something billion dollars isn't, you know, it's not even close to chump change. And they spew this out like this is a big deal. Well, Canada, the corporation, and all the parts of the corporation, and the Canadian people are over $1 trillion frickin' dollars in the hole. You can't get out from under it. Does this mention? How do you weigh 1 point something billion dollar surplus against $1 trillion hole? But they print this shit. People read it. Oh, that's really good. We got a surplus this year. Are you completely brain dead, people? You know, I offered $1.6 billion, I believe it was, to the farmers. I think it was a number, 1.6, 1.3 billion when I ran in the 2007 election, just because I could, eh? And but I did that after listening to other candidates, from the party candidates, telling each doing their little spiel there of how much they care about the rural areas, and we've got to help the rural folks, and we got to strengthen the farm sector, and our government will do this and this crap all the way down the line, and they were all spewing different numbers. And when it got to me, I just said, well, if you elect me, I will immediately fund this area, the agricultural sector, for 1.3 or 1.6 billion dollars, or whatever the hell the number was. And I got a lot of applause out of the audience. And that blew me away. Well, none of the numbers the other candidates were puking off. I made sure my number was considerably higher than their numbers. Like they were talking 300 million, 500 million, 600 million. And I go, well, they're into millions. I'll go the whole road here. I'll go 1 point something billion. And the people at this all candidates meeting were clapping. And I had to, I mean, that hurt my feelings that these people are just stupid, and yet they get to vote. I'm running as an independent. If I was elected, I couldn't write you a check for $10. But nobody seems to get it. That scares me more than these clowns that are actually in government. Because the reason they're in government is because the people are so stunned. And I don't say that in a derogatory manner. I mean, that's just the way it is. It freaks me out. You know, I'm looking at this picture here of this video with our prime minister standing there explaining this headgear stuff, and I'm looking behind him, and sitting in Parliament is a guy with a blue turban on and a great big huge friggin' beard, and you know, like, give me a break. Where are people? There's 34 million people in Canada. And you can't bring up a government picture anywhere on their sites that doesn't have a Chinaman in it, a Muslim or two in it, a black man in it, a Korean in it, and a token white guy or girl. Where did our people go? Oh, yeah, they're down working at the Tim Hortons. I mean, we got to get our stuff together here, people. But anyways, that's basically what's been going on today. And hopefully by Thursday, I'll have got a call back from the Ministry of Finance, and maybe we'll make some headway on it, although I don't imagine it'll be very productive. But we'll see. And you know, what can I say? I mean, I love UCY TV, and the people that are involved in it, and the people in the chat, and the listeners, and you know, what would really make me smile more than anything right now would be to see the listenership of UCY go through the roof. I would really like to see UCY be at the top as far as listeners go on the internet. And I would ask everyone who listens to this show or other shows to spread it far and wide, right? Really good people here, solid people who care. Wouldn't be here if you didn't care. And you know, we got a big job, but we'll get her done, and we'll get back to law, which is moral. Get away from this immoral crap we've been putting up for so long, and then we will rebuild our lands for the people, for the benefit of the people, and we will construct finally, for the first time, a government by the people for the people. We're out of time, folks. So thank you very much. I see Against the Walls up next, and maybe a replay, I'm not sure, but that doesn't matter to replay because JJ always does good work. All right, take care. We'll see you on Thursday. Or if they don't help me wait. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape, they burn the kids. No one makes countries laugh to your face.